Dr. Rebecca Cole had spent 3 years of her life on this moment. 3 years of debates, rewrites, and endless committee meetings. 3 years of choosing every word, every image, every mathematical equation that would represent all of humanity to whoever might be listening out there in the dark. She stood in the Earth Communications Array in New Mexico, her coffee long cold in her hand, watching the final countdown on the screens. The control room buzzed with nervous energy. Technicians checked their stations for the 100th time. Her assistant, David, kept adjusting his glasses even though they didn't need adjusting. 30 seconds, someone called out. Rebecca thought about her daughter back home in California. About her parents who'd passed away before seeing this day. About the billions of people on Earth who didn't even know this transmission was happening. They were all counting on her whether they knew it or not. 10 seconds. The lights dimmed. The transmission array hummed to life, drawing power from 3 nuclear reactors. This wasn't just a radio signal. This was humanity shouting into the void with everything they had. We're live. Her recorded voice began playing through the speakers. To any civilization receiving this, we are humanity of Earth. We come in peace, offering friendship, knowledge, and cooperation. The transmission was beautiful. Mozart's symphonies that made people cry. Einstein's theories that explained the universe. Pictures of the Great Wall snaking across mountains. The northern lights dancing in green and purple. Children laughing. Lovers dancing. Mathematical proofs showing we understood logic and reason. And right there in the metadata, Earth's exact coordinates. Longitude and latitude. Distance from the sun. Everything needed to find them. Some scientists had argued against including their location. What if they're hostile? They'd asked. But Rebecca had fought back. If we're not willing to trust, how can we expect them to? Peace requires vulnerability. She'd won that argument. Now, watching the transmission beam into space at the speed of light, she hoped she'd been right. Commander Jake Morrison was 6 months older when he saw the reply. 6 months of routine life on Moon Base Armstrong. 6 months of watching Earth rotate below, blue and green and beautiful. 6 months of wondering if anyone out there had heard their message. He was in the command center reviewing supply reports when Lieutenant Amy Parker's voice cut through the normal chatter. "Sir, we've got something." Jake looked up from his tablet. Amy was young, only 26, but she was the best tactical officer he'd ever worked with. And right now, her face had gone pale. "What is it?" "Energy signatures. Massive ones. Dropping out of faster-than-light travel." Her fingers flew across her console. "Multiple contacts. I'm counting, oh God. Sir, I'm counting over 50 ships." Jake was already moving to her station. "Are they hailing us?" "No, sir. They're coming in fast. Really fast." "Maybe they're excited?" David Chin from Communications suggested. "Maybe they got our message and—" "They're not slowing down," Amy interrupted. Her voice cracked slightly. "Sir, they're not slowing down. They're not hailing us. They're powering up weapons." Jake felt his stomach drop. "Sound the alarm. Give me a channel to Earth defense. Now." "Sir, they're firing." Through the observation window, Jake watched the impossible happen. Beams of light, brighter than anything he'd ever seen, lanced down from orbit. They hit Earth's atmosphere and kept going. He watched cities vanish in flashes of light. Whole cities. Gone. Just like that. "Get everyone to shelters," he shouted. "Cut all external lights. Maybe they haven't seen us yet." But he couldn't look away from Earth. His Earth. Where his sister lived in Denver. Where his best friend from high school taught elementary school in Texas. Where 8 billion people were going about their lives, completely unaware until 47 minutes ago that they weren't alone in the universe. The bombardment was systematic. Professional. Methodical. They weren't just attacking military targets. They were hitting everything. Power plants. Cities. Farmland. Oceans. Turning Earth's surface into glass and ash. Amy was crying at her station, but her hands never stopped working. Recording everything. Documenting humanity's first contact with alien life. And humanity's near extinction. Then it stopped. The ships held position in orbit, and a transmission came through on the same frequency Earth had used. The same frequency Rebecca Cole had chosen for peace. The voice was translated somehow, mechanical but understandable. "This is how we reply to peace. Your weakness is your extinction. This world is ours now." Jake's hands gripped the edge of the console so hard his knuckles turned white. He could hear Amy crying behind him. Could hear other people in the command center sobbing or praying or just sitting in stunned silence. Earth was still there. The planet itself. But the blue and green were gone now. replaced by red and orange and the black of ash clouds. The transmission array, still broadcasting somehow, finally cut to static. Jake took a deep breath. Made himself think. Made himself be the commander these people needed. "Get me Admiral Lisa Chin," he said quietly. His voice didn't shake. It couldn't. Not now. "Get me everyone off-world. Every station, every colony, every ship. All of them." "Sir?" Amy looked at him with red eyes. Jake kept staring at what used to be Earth. "Earth is gone," he said. "But Earth was never all of us." Thraktar stood on the observation deck of his command ship, looking down at the dead planet below. 3 months had passed since the conquest, and everything was going exactly as planned. The mining operations were running smoothly, pulling rare elements from Earth's crust that would fund the Zrath Empire's next expansion. He flexed his forearms in satisfaction. This had been the easiest conquest in his 20-year career. No space fleet to fight. No orbital defenses to break through. Just soft, trusting creatures who'd broadcast their location and waited to be destroyed. "Look at this," he said to his second-in-command, gesturing at the data streaming across his console. "In just 3 months, we've extracted enough platinum, rhodium, and iridium to build 6 new warships. The humans stacked it all in convenient surface deposits. They even refined some of it for us." His second clicked agreement. They built everything above ground. No underground bunkers. No hidden fortresses. Children playing at civilization. Thraktar pulled up the cultural files they'd recovered from the ruins. Music, art, stories about love and hope. They spent their energy on useless things. Beauty instead of weapons. Philosophy instead of tactics. They deserved extinction. He was reviewing next quarter's mining projections when the first alert came through. "Director, we've lost contact with mining site 7. Thraktar barely looked up. "Equipment failure. Send a repair team." "Sir, now Site 12 is offline." That got his attention. 2 sites failing simultaneously was unusual. "What's the status?" "No response. All communications are dead. Power readings show 0. Before the technician could finish, more alerts flooded in. Site 3. Site 15. Site 1. Within minutes, all 17 mining operations across Earth's surface had gone dark. Simultaneously. Complete blackout. "That's impossible," Thraktar said. "Send investigation teams to all sites. Full security protocols. Something's wrong." The first team to report back was from Site 7, located in the ruins of what humans had called New York. The team leader's voice came through shaky and uncertain. "Director, you need to see this." The video feed showed chaos. Mining equipment torn apart, not exploded, but disassembled with surgical precision. Massive drilling machines pulled apart at the joints. Transport vehicles gutted. And the miners, gone. All 47 of them. Just gone. "Where are the bodies?" Thraktar demanded. "There aren't any, sir. No blood. No signs of struggle. They just vanished." The camera panned across the site until it stopped on a metal support beam. Someone had carved words into it. Human letters, crude but clear. "You were warned." Thraktar felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Not quite fear. Not yet. But uncertainty. Who had warned them? The humans were dead. Earth was a graveyard. There was nobody left to warn anybody about anything. The other investigation teams reported identical scenes. Missing miners. Destroyed equipment. And at every site, carved into metal or etched into stone, the same message. "You were warned. Pull everyone back to the command ship," Thraktar ordered. Now. Halfway across the galaxy, the Galactic Council was meeting in emergency session. The council chamber was a massive sphere where representatives from 200 species floated in their preferred atmospheres, connected by translation technology. Ambassador Keldar of the Vreen Collective was ancient by any species standards. He'd served on the council for 60 years and thought he'd seen everything. But the transmission playing on the central screen made his bioluminescent skin pulse with concern. "This arrived 4 hours ago," he told the assembled delegates. "The origin point is unusual." "What do you mean unusual?" asked a council member. "The signal is moving. Constantly shifting through deep space. We can't pin down where it's coming from. It's as if the source is jumping from location to location, never staying still." The chamber filled with nervous murmurs. Keldar triggered the playback. A human voice filled the chamber. "Mel, come. Cold as deep space. Not angry or emotional, just stating facts. That was Earth. We are humanity. There is a difference." The transmission crackled with static. In the background they could hear machinery, the hum of ship engines, people talking quietly. To the Zrath Empire, you wanted war. Congratulations. You've got one. The transmission included coordinates. Not Earth's, those would have been useless now. These were coordinates to a Zrath supply depot at Kepler 442, deep in their territory. We should warn them, someone suggested. No, Keldar said quietly. I don't think it would matter. He was right. By the time the Zrath fleet reached Kepler 442, there was nothing left to warn. The supply depot was gone. Not abandoned, destroyed. Ships torn open. Supplies scattered into space. And floating among the wreckage was a message buoy, broadcasting on a loop. The voice was different this time. Female. Younger. Just as cold. If this is how you reply to peace, you'll learn how we reply to war. Thraktar watched the footage from Kepler 442 and felt real fear for the first time. They'd killed Earth. They'd watched it burn. They'd seen the cities vanish and the oceans boil. But Earth wasn't humanity. Earth was just where humanity started. And now, somewhere out in the dark, humanity was watching. Waiting. Hunting. Find them, Thraktar ordered. Find them and destroy them before. The lights in his command ship flickered. Then went dark. And in the darkness, he heard footsteps. Admiral Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiance, hidden deep in Neptune's shadow where no one would think to look. The massive flagship was dark and silent, running on minimal power to avoid detection. Around her, screens glowed softly, showing a network that the Zrath Empire had no idea existed. They thought they'd destroyed humanity. They thought Earth was all there was. They were wrong. Report, Lisa said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion she felt. She hadn't slept properly in 3 months. None of them had. Commander Ben Wright moved to the central tactical display, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Points of light appeared throughout the solar system and beyond. Mars base reports full operational status. They've got 3,000 personnel and manufacturing capacity at 80%. The underground cities survived the detection sweeps. More lights appeared. Europa Station is online. They're producing ammunition and supplies around the clock. The ice mining operation is providing enough water and fuel for the entire fleet. Lisa watched as the display filled with more and more positions. Each light represented people. Human beings who'd survived because someone decades ago had been smart enough to plan for the worst. The Generation ship Perseverance reports weapons systems fully operational, Ben continued. She's slow, but she's got enough firepower to take on a Zrath battlecruiser. The other 5 Generation ships are taking longer to retrofit, but they'll be ready within a month. Titan Colony? Lisa asked. Ben smiled for the first time that day. Completed production on 12 stealth frigates. They're small, fast, and completely invisible to Zrath sensors. The colonists are calling them ghosts. Lisa nodded. Titan had been humanity's bet on the future. A colony built under the methane lakes, hidden from casual observation, designed to be self-sufficient. When Earth died, Titan kept working. What about the outer installations? All 47 covert stations report ready status. The Kuiper Belt facilities, the Oort Cloud observers, even the ones we built inside asteroids. They're armed and waiting for orders. Lisa let herself feel a moment of pride. 17 colonies. 6 Generation ships. 47 hidden installations. Thousands of people spread across the solar system and beyond. Earth had been humanity's heart, but it was never their only home. And Earth? She asked quietly. The bridge fell silent. Dr. Tom Ashford, their chief medical officer, stepped forward. His face was haggard. He'd been leading the rescue operations personally. We've recovered approximately 11,000 survivors from deep bunkers, Tom said. His voice was rough with emotion. Most were in military installations or research facilities. Some from government continuity bunkers. A few hundred from private shelters. 11,000. Out of 8 billion. It's not many, Admiral, Tom added. Lisa's jaw tightened. It's enough to remember. It's enough to make sure this never happens again. It's enough to testify to what was done. She turned to Colonel Derek Foster, head of Special Operations. Derek was a hard man made harder by the last 3 months. His entire family had been in Seattle when the bombardment started. Derek, what's our count? Derek's smile was cold and dangerous. We've hit 9 Zrath supply convoys this week alone. Ambushed them in deep space using the stealth ships. No survivors. Their patrol fleets keep reporting equipment malfunctions, reactor failures, navigation errors. They have no idea we're hunting them. Good. What else? We've been planting gifts in their supply lines. Explosive packages disguised as cargo containers. Hacked AI that turns their automated systems against them. We've even got self-replicating mine swarms that use destroyed Zrath ships as raw material to build more mines. Lisa walked to the main view screen. Out there, beyond Neptune's orbit, the Zrath thought they were safe. They thought humanity was dead or defeated. The Galactic Council watched Earth burn, Lisa said. They watched and did nothing. They thought we were naive children who didn't understand how the universe really worked. They thought we were weak because we offered peace. She turned back to her crew. Every face was hard with loss and determination. But our ancestors knew something important. Hope for the best but prepare for the worst. We spent a century getting ready for peaceful first contact. We built the welcome protocols, prepared the gift packages, learned how to say hello in 1,000 theoretical languages. Her voice grew harder. But we also prepared for this. For the species that wouldn't want peace. We built the hidden colonies. We scattered our population. We developed weapons and tactics for enemies we'd never met. Because humanity is a survivor species. We've survived ice ages and plagues and wars and disasters. We don't give up. We adapt. On the view screen, 12 stealth ships powered up their engines. Each crew had lost someone on Earth. Parents, children, friends, lovers. Each crew member was fighting for something more than orders. All ships, Lisa transmitted across the fleet network. We're moving to phase 2. The Zrath think they won. Let's show them the difference between winning a battle and winning a war. The Defiance's engines hummed to life. Around her, ships began emerging from hiding places throughout the outer solar system. Not an army, not yet. But enough to make the Zrath understand their mistake. Far below, on Luna Base, Jake Morrison was suiting up with Strike Team Alpha. He checked his weapons with practiced efficiency. The rifle felt good in his hands. Familiar. Reliable. Ready, Commander? Lieutenant Amy Parker asked. She'd stopped crying 3 months ago. Now she just looked angry. Jake nodded. He thought about Rebecca Cole, who'd crafted that beautiful message of peace. He hoped she'd survived somehow, though he doubted it. For Earth, he whispered. For Earth, his team echoed. And humanity went to war. Supreme Commander Vetkor had conquered 14 star systems in his military career. He'd crushed rebellions, destroyed fleets, and broken the will of entire civilizations. Fear was something he inflicted on others, not something he experienced himself. Until now. He stood in his war room, staring at the tactical display that showed his empire bleeding from 1,000 cuts. Red indicators blinked across the map where ships had gone missing, convoys had been attacked, and outposts had gone silent. Explain this to me again, he said, his voice dangerously quiet. Explain how a species we exterminated 3 months ago is destroying my empire. His intelligence officer, a younger commander named Thrallkix, was visibly shaking. Sir, they're not fighting like any enemy we've encountered. There are no fleet battles. No territorial disputes. No grand invasions. Then what are they doing? They're hunting us, sir. Small teams. Stealth ships. They appear from nowhere, strike, and vanish before we can respond. Vetkor pulled up the latest incident reports. A supply convoy attacked near the 7th planet of the Kepler system. When reinforcements arrived, they found only debris and a single message: you were warned. When they tried to investigate the wreckage, it exploded, taking 3 more ships with it. Booby traps, Thrallkix explained. They turn our own destroyed ships into weapons against us. Every derelict we investigate could be a bomb. What about our automated defenses? Compromised, sir. They've hacked our AI systems. Last week, an entire drone fleet in the Tau Ceti system turned on its own battlecruiser. Tore it apart before we could shut them down. Vetkor felt his plates bristle with frustration. How is that possible? Our systems are encrypted with. They're better at technology than we thought, sir. Much better. Thrallkix brought up another report. They've also deployed some kind of self-replicating mine swarm. It uses the raw materials from our destroyed ships to build more mines. The more ships we lose, the more mines there are. Before Vetkor could respond, another officer burst through the door without waiting for permission. That alone told him how bad things were. Sir. Urgent report from Proxima Centauri. What now? The garrison is under attack. Heavy casualties. But sir. The officer hesitated. It's not humans attacking. It's the Vrexen. Vetkor's blood went cold. The Vrexen were the species they'd conquered on Proxima Centauri's 2nd planet. Weak. Peaceful. Completely subjugated. How are the Vrexen attacking us? They have no weapons, no military. They do now, sir. Somehow they got human weapons. Human tactics. They knew exactly where our ammunition depot was, exactly when the guard shift changed, exactly how to disable our communications before attacking. Thrallkix pulled up surveillance footage from before the base went dark. It showed Vrexen fighters moving with military precision, carrying weapons that were clearly human design, using suppression tactics that no conquered species should know. Where did they get this training? Bekkor demanded. From humans, sir. We don't know how, but humans are getting onto the conquered worlds. They're arming the populations, teaching them to fight. Then find them. Track their ships, intercept there. Sir, we've tried. They hide in asteroid fields, comet clouds, behind moons and planets. Our sensors show rocks and ice until they power up weapons and fire. By the time we know they're there, it's too late. Bekkor stared at the tactical display. This wasn't war as he understood it. This was something else. Something terrifying. The humans weren't trying to hold territory. They weren't building an empire. They were dismantling his. Lieutenant Amy Parker crouched in the underground tunnel, her night vision showing the way forward. Behind her, 6 members of her team moved in silence. They'd been on Zrath Colony 7 for 3 days now, and nobody above ground knew they were here. The Kelthra people huddled in this underground city, hiding from their Zrath occupiers. They were thin and scared, their large eyes reflecting the dim lights. They looked fragile, but Amy had learned that appearances could be deceiving. The Kelthra elder approached her cautiously. Through the translator device, his words came out in accented English. You are the humans? The ones the Zrath fear. We are, Amy said. You've come to save us? Amy shook her head. No. We're not here to save you. We're here to teach you to save yourselves. She opened her pack and pulled out weapons. Not human guns, those would be too obvious. These were weapons built from local materials using designs the Kelthra could reproduce themselves. Simple but effective. We're going to teach you how to fight, Amy continued. How to organize. How to communicate. How to hit the Zrath where it hurts and disappear before they can respond. The elder's expression showed confusion. Why? Why help us? Amy's face hardened. She thought about Earth. About watching her home burn from orbit. About the 11,000 survivors and the 8 billion who didn't make it. Because 3 months ago we sent a message of peace into space. The Zrath received it and replied with genocide. They took our world. Killed our people. Made us refugees in our own solar system. She locked eyes with the elder. But we're still here. Still fighting. And we're going to make sure every species the Zrath conquered gets the same chance we got. The chance to fight back. She handed him a tactical manual, translated into his language. This is guerrilla warfare. Hit and run. Sabotage. Making the occupation so costly they'll wish they'd never come here. Within 2 weeks, the Zrath garrison on Colony 7 was in chaos. Supply lines disrupted. Officers disappearing. Equipment sabotaged. And everywhere, Kelthra fighters melting back into the civilian population. The pattern repeated across 17 conquered systems. Humans arrived like ghosts, armed the oppressed and vanished, leaving revolution in their wake. And after each victory, the same transmission went out on the peace frequency. If this is how you reply to peace, you'll learn we are excellent students of war. The Zrath homeworld had never known fear like this. For generations they'd been the hunters, the conquerors, the ones who brought terror to others. Now, for the first time in their history, they were the prey. Every citizen looked to the sky and wondered when the human ships would arrive. When the bombardment would begin. When they would receive the same mercy they'd shown to Earth. Supreme Commander Bekkor stood in the Planetary Defense Center, surrounded by screens showing their pitiful remaining defenses. 6 months ago, the Zrath Empire had controlled 17 systems, commanded hundreds of warships, and ruled over millions of conquered beings. Now they had nothing. Their fleets were scattered debris. Their colonies were free, rising up with human weapons and human tactics. Their conquered species celebrated in the streets while Zrath occupiers fled or surrendered. And the homeworld sat alone, waiting for judgment. Any sign of them? Bekkor asked. No, sir, his remaining officer replied. Our long-range sensors show nothing. But they could be anywhere. They hide so well we wouldn't know until they were already firing. Bekkor thought about his own children, safe in shelters below the surface. He thought about the millions of civilians going about their lives, pretending everything was normal. He thought about how they'd cheered when Earth burned, how they'd celebrated an easy victory. They weren't cheering now. The screens flickered. Every screen on the planet, military, civilian, public, private, all of them flickered and went dark for a moment. Then Admiral Lisa Chen's face appeared. She looked tired. Human faces were strange to read, but Vector had studied them enough to recognize exhaustion. And something else. Something cold and determined. "People of Zrath," she began. Her voice was translated instantly, broadcast across every device on the planet. "We could do to you what you did to us. We have the weapons. We have the anger. We have the right." Vector felt his plates go rigid. This was it. The end. But Admiral Chen paused. The silence stretched out, and Vector realized the entire planet was holding its breath. "But we won't," she continued. "Because that would make us you. That would make us the monsters who reply to peace with genocide. That would make us the species who murders billions because we can." Behind her, another human appeared. Commander Jake Morrison, the one who'd coordinated so many of the attacks on their forces. He was uploading something, his fingers moving across a console. "Instead, you get to live," Admiral Chen said. "You get to sit on your world and think about what you've done. Your faster-than-light drives are gone. Every single one. We've taken them. Your weapons satellites are ours now, and they'll remain pointed at you. You will not leave this system. Not for generations. Maybe never." She leaned forward slightly. "You're going to watch something now. All of you. Every Zrath on this planet. You'll watch what you did. You'll watch Earth die." The footage began playing. Vector had seen it before, the military recordings of their attack. But this was different. This wasn't taken from their warships looking down. This was taken from Earth looking up. Children playing in a park, laughing, chasing each other. Then the shadow falling over them as the ships arrived. Their faces turning to the sky in wonder, not yet understanding. The first beam hitting. The screams. People running. A mother clutching her baby, trying to find shelter that didn't exist. A father standing in front of his family, as if his body could somehow stop what was coming. Cities burning. Millions of voices crying out. The blue planet turning red, then black. The death of a world, shown in intimate, horrible detail. Vector wanted to look away but couldn't. None of them could. The broadcast was locked on every screen, and some force of will, maybe guilt, maybe horror, kept every eye watching. "You'll show this to your children," Admiral Chen's voice said over the footage. "And they'll show it to their children. You'll remember that humanity offered peace. We came to you with open hands, with music and mathematics and hope. We trusted you with our location, our culture, our very existence." The footage shifted to show the transmission array, still broadcasting as the world died around it. Rebecca Cole's voice, the message of peace cutting off mid-word. "And you'll remember what happened when you replied with violence," Admiral Chen continued. "Not just to you. The whole galaxy will remember. We're sending this footage to every species, every world, every civilization that can receive it. This is the cost of attacking humanity. This is what happens when you mistake mercy for weakness." The transmission ended with new coordinates. Not Earth's dead coordinates, but somewhere else. "This is our new home," she said. "You'll never know exactly where it is. But we'll be watching you. Always." The screens went dark. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council was in emergency session when the human ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their sensors screamed warnings. Defense systems powered up. Then powered down again when they realized it was a single diplomatic vessel. Ambassador Rachel Turner walked into the council chamber like she owned it. She was young for a diplomat, maybe 40, but she carried herself with absolute confidence. Behind her walked two security officers, both veterans of the war, both with the hard eyes of people who'd seen too much. "Humanity accepts your offer of a council seat," Rachel said without preamble. No introduction. No humble requests. Just a statement of fact. "We look forward to peaceful cooperation with all species who share that value." She moved to the empty seat that had been prepared, just in case humanity survived, just in case they came. She sat down and looked around the chamber at 200 species, all watching her in silence. "And to those who don't share that value," Rachel added, her voice quiet but carrying perfectly through the translation systems, "we refer you to what remains of the Zrath Empire. Consider it a lesson." Nobody spoke. Nobody questioned. Nobody objected. The galaxy had learned three things that day. Never mistake human mercy for weakness. They offered peace because they chose to, not because they had to. Never test humanity's capacity for violence. They were very, very good at it when necessary. And never, ever reply to their peace offerings with war. Because humanity remembered. They remembered every slight, every loss, every act of aggression. And they would make sure the galaxy never forgot what happened when you pushed them too far. Rachel Turner sat in humanity's seat, representing a species that had lost their homeworld but refused to die. A species that had been scattered but came back stronger. A species that had every right to seek revenge but chose justice instead. The meeting continued. Humanity had joined the galactic community. On their terms.